That was weird. Yeah, I heard it.
Moore,
Here.
O'Kane,
Here.
Shaner,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Waters.
Here.
Please stand for a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no proclamations, we have no interviews, so we'll go to the consent agenda. Items 2 through 11C you can consider to pass unanimously unless a separate roll call vote is requested by a council member. If you want to speak on an item, please come up as I read that item. If you want to speak on an item not on the agenda, please come up under citizen concerns, and always remember to state your name for the record. I'll move the consent agenda. Second. 2 is a reading of the September 8th City Council minutes. 3 is a motion approving Drew Parvu to the Environmental Advisory Board. 4 is a resolution appointing Teresa Fitch as interim Assistant City Manager. 5 is a resolution awarding a purchase order to I-State Truck Center for 5 vehicles with landscape dump and plow for the Streets Division. 6 are actions relating to street closures. A is a resolution temporarily closing sections of Grandview Boulevard and 13th Street on October 3rd for the Bishop Heelan Homecoming Parade. B is a resolution temporarily closing various streets in the Morningside area on September 29th for the East High Homecoming Parade. C is a resolution temporarily closing a section of West 19th Street on September 25th for the West High Homecoming Parade.
Mayor,
Yes.
I forgot. I wanted to ask a question back on 5.
Okay.
And Spiro, I don't know if this is a question for you or who would maybe be able to direct this to. Look, I'm glad that we're getting trade-in on these vehicles. I know nothing about the vehicles that we are as far as the numbers of what we're trading in on that. But I did wonder, if these are $200,000 vehicles, is a good trade-in value $7,000 a piece? I mean, would they get more at auction? Do we not want to worry about that? Again, I'm ignorant. I'm just asking the question.
I could probably, I think Jeff.
These come with plow. You're selling them with the plows?
Jeff Dietricher, Fleet Manager. So,
Go
first
ahead with
question.
Yeah.
The value that we're getting on them is about what I estimated.
Really?
The engines, with the amount of hours that they have on them, plus the miles, really take them pretty much to their B10 life, their usable life before they need a major overhaul or rebuild. Part 2 of that is the condition of the bodies themselves are a little lackluster if you've seen them around.
Yeah.
So right where we're at is, or right where we got offered was what I would expect to get out of Gov Deals in this situation.
Okay. I look, like I said, I trust you. I'm just surprised that expensive a vehicle, and I understand we deal more on, the amount of hours and then the expectancy of, 10 years or however often we want to rotate through. And I know we're not going to just be upgrading just to upgrade, but it just seems like a pretty drastic difference, in my opinion.
The only thing that I could, contribute to maybe a higher trade offer would be the miles and condition overall when they're traded in. But these are, of course, 3 years past what.
Correct. Yeah.
You're selling them with plows?
So these ones will come with plows. One thing that we've tried to do is try to get some uniformity across the fleet in just so far as the plows themselves. So the style of plows that are on them now, we can't get anymore. If we have to repair some of the existing ones, we have to go out, have the parts fabricated, and then reuse them. So now everything starting since I think it was the 2022s, all those plows forward will be the same moving on so they can be interchanged between vehicles.
Which bothers the heck out of me because that means you got a single source.
Well,
You do. I mean, so now that next guy that bids, Are these guys is I-State the only people that have access to that plow? Because now we're buying I-State trucks forever, if that's.
No, the plows are actually a little bit separate. They're part of the body bid. And the mount is what's used by the state of Iowa, so it's a universal mount.
That's what I was gonna ask, is I wondered if the mount specifically, if at least that was the same and you could buy different plow
So
or
the mount-
attachments.
Mount's manufactured originally by Monroe, and then Henderson and Hinkie picked it up. So you actually have 3 different vendors that will make that.
Cool.
And then really the plow is the same except the attachment type, and they all make a universal depending on what width you want.
I don't know how bad those trucks are, but there's I do subscribe to municipal bid deal, and 7's awful cheap, but I think you'd almost get that for scrap.
That I cannot say. I've not scrapped one out yet, so I don't know what,
And the delivery doesn't happen until next spring.
April 6th is, or April 6th.
Guess it'll
April
be about 14
2026
years
is what
old
they're
on the-
saying.
About 14 years old. Required those in 2012.
Right. And so far as the 2 bids, there's only 2 OEMs that make a cab chassis like this. So that's why there was just International and Freightliner.
And I mean, I understand the mayor's point too, especially about single source and worrying about getting in on those types of deals, you know, when you're locked in on that. But because I remember Dave Carney and I used to talk a lot about that with streetlights, you know, is that then you have certain parts for certain types of lights, you know, as far as, and I mean traffic signals, not just like the Cobra heads, but then if you can't use the parts interchangeably or stock them, then you're having to stock multiple different vendors. And so you want to go to something more uniform, but sometimes that locks you into something as well. And
In this case, one thing I want to try to do is at least get from the plow applications, everything moving forward on the same page where we did have options. So with the plow, the different vendors, and the hydraulics, have all that at least uniform, so if truck A, something happens to the plow, you can take a spare one off and put it on. We kind of ran into that last year a little bit. So I think this will help at least keep the trucks moving as things happen.
And did we look at what you thought they would bring on sale or auction or?
So usually when I try to get at least an idea of what they're going to bring on sale, I'll go on to Iron Planet, you know, those types of machine
Sure.
trader. Try to find something equivalent. with
Comparable,
at least-
yeah.
At least the same hours.
Oh.
Sometimes conditions a little different.
Oh.
I make my suggestion, I guess, based on that.
And in your opinion, 7 was a good number to land on at least and not roll
Right.
the dice?
My fear was if you put them out, sometimes when you put them out on gov deals, sometimes we're really surprised at what we get for, you know, equipment or what we put on there, and other times it's not.
Yeah, I
Not
get
roll.
it. Yeah, you're rolling the dice. I get it.
Usually I approach it with a minimum of what I'd like to see back, and if I don't see that, which was right about at 7, then I would have declined their trade and sold it outright.
I mean, I don't have any evidence of the contrary, so I'm going to trust you, man. No
Okay.
problem. I just wanted to ask.
Right.
Thank you.
Actions relating to agreements and contracts. A is a resolution approving amendment number 1 to the service provider agreement with AG Construction for the utilities concrete construction project. B is a resolution adopting the ADA transition plan for facilities in the public right-of-way.
I had a question about that. I just wondered, Gordon and/or Brittany, Gordon, about if we, and I don't know if it was in the hard copies or different area, I wasn't looking. I just wondered if I could have access to a copy of this plan or at least some of the details. I thought maybe it'd be in the homework, but I didn't see it.
Gordon Ferris, city engineer. Yeah, I can get you I can email you a copy.
There's a hard copy.
That's what I wondered in the folder that then I just didn't find that, so I apologize.
A printed out.
No, I want it electronic, but yeah, I'll be able to look there. If I can't find it again, I'll look again, but if I can't, I'll email you.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
B is a resolution granting a permit to Imon Communications to maintain underground fiber along the section of Triview Avenue. D is a resolution approving city facilities asphalt overlay reimbursement agreement with the Jewish Cemetery Association for streets in the independent Fairlawn Cemetery. E is a resolution approving change order number 1 to the contract with Knife River for the city's facility asphalt overlay project. F is a resolution approving a contract to KP Construction for the West Clifton Avenue Sanitary Sewer Siphon Improvement Project. G is a resolution approving a purchase agreement with the auditorium shopping area and approving an appointed agency agreement with the NAIA United for property at 100, 112, and 124 Pierce Street. The appointed agency, I should have asked this, we're not giving them an agreement now to sell. That's only because of that new federal law, because of all the lawsuits that occurred. You have to appoint an agent, right?
Yes, and I believe in this documentation, it indicates that there's dual agency. It's the listing.
Right, yeah. Marty, public is really wanting to know, and I do too, as we talked earlier today. It would be a lot more comfortable for somebody like me to vote if we had at least a developer saying, we can't hardly wait to put a shovel in the ground there. It's really tough to spend $3 million, and you can say, well, it's not really taxpayer money. I get that, but it kind of sort of could be, depending on how you use that money. And I might abstain anyway, and the reason I would abstain, I'll tell you up front, is that one of the majority owners in this partnership was a very good friend of mine, and his family still, I believe, I haven't checked, but I got to believe that they're a seller in this property, and so I don't have any connection to the family, but I don't want people running around town saying I took care of a friend of mine, because that's not the case at all. I don't even know if the family still has an interest in the property, but I'm probably going to abstain, but just for that reason, I'll be abstaining. Not a real conflict of interest, but kind of, sort of, I guess. But I'm curious. I think that from what I read on social media, half the people are kind of for this, half the people are wondering about it. I guess I'd like some sort of, what your best guess is, time frame of how long it'll take you to get a developer.
So we have talked with some developers. We see this as an opportunity to turn around and redevelop an area that is at the front door to the city. In all honesty, it's kind of run down at this point in time with vacant building and another building that's likely to be vacant within 2 years. So it's an aggressive step. I guess I would compare it to what we did with the Badgero building, which was similar type of thing, except a vertical structure, where we took a building that was vacant and had sat empty for a while and did an RFP process. We're able to locate a quality developer that put, millions of dollars into it, and it's been very successful. Still needs the ground floor, commercial space to be leased, but the apartments are full. And I think is an example of what we can do. It is kind of aggressive for a city to do this sort of thing, but I think given the location, the history of it, and the condition of it, it's called for at this time. And I think you're absolutely right, Mayor, to ask the question. We see this as a potential for a mixed-use development, commercial, retail, perhaps residential, multi-story building, similar to a couple of developments that have taken place in downtown Sioux Falls, where they were also aggressive in assembling sites and bringing in developers, and perhaps a mix of developers where you might have more than one. So that's kind of the vision that we have. I think it'll take a year at least to get something organized. Well, not going to bet you, Mayor, if you want me to, but I think we have seen interest, and I think we will get to work immediately on it and look for developers to put together an RFP and put it out there as soon as we can. It obviously would be of the highest priority to our staff, and we will devote our full attention to making that happen. I think it's critically important. We've had a lot of great things happen in downtown. We've had, the Benson building, the Badger building, as I mentioned, a number of other buildings with significant investment. But I think the perception is, and maybe a little bit the reality is that some of the areas of downtown need some help, need some investments, front door to the city. It's a unique opportunity. I think all of us maybe that have lived here a while have thought, I wish we could someday do something about that site. It's such a great site right there at the entrance, major visibility from the highway and from the interstate and from Gordon Drive. Highest traffic counts in the area really are right there on that interstate, visible from there. So I think it's an incredible opportunity. There's some risk to it, I will admit that, but I think it's worth the risk at this time for the city. We are using a mix of funds, some of which came from previous real estate transactions, as you know, Mayor. So I think it makes sense. We consulted carefully with the Finance Department before proceeding, and talked to you as well and the legal department. So I think it's going to be well worth the investment of the city.
Two things. My friend who's since deceased always told me that he owned half of Pierce Street. I want to make sure we're buying that half of Pierce Street if that's the case.
I'm not aware of that.
Well, I know you're not, but that's what he always claimed, that they owned half of Pierce Street. Now, I don't know how you can claim that when you've let us drive on it all those years, but it's something to make sure we check.
Check
And-
that with the title.
As
Check to see
I'm
if
hoping
that
Title
does
exam.
dedicated right-of-way.
Yeah, well, that,
I'm just telling you what he always used to
Right.
tell me.
well, as mentioned, Mayor, we do have a 120-day due diligence
Right.
period, so we
But
will
that's why
look
I'm
at it.
asking you to check it. And number two, in that 120 days, I think it's terribly important. You say you want to get ideas from the council and that, and I would hope we get some from the public, but I think it's terribly important that I think what the public's asking, what's going to go there? And I think we need to answer that question. When you're spending $3 million of taxpayers' money, I think they should have some input as to what that possibly should be.
Okay, sure.
Well, to be fair, the reason that we have been aggressive on this is because there were several interested parties. So it is something that people were vying for, and several businesses, I think, have expressed an interest in operating in that space. So I don't think we're starting from a blank slate here necessarily.
Didn't say that, but if you
We should have a
paid attention to Facebook over the week, I don't read it very often, but Julie answers it better than I do, but I at least read it, and people are saying, what is the city going to do with it?
Right.
And I think if you're going to have a mixed use, we should begin that process of because mixed use to me can mean a lot of things, different than what it means to you.
And we can provide the opportunity through our website, council concerns, wherever they go, to email us any other time, or maybe we get a little link or something going from social media. But yeah, people were really wondering, well, what are we going to do with it? We're not going to put another car wash there, are we? We're not going to put another, bank or this or a McDonald's, kind of flip like that. So I did ask them,
I understand.
what would you
those-
like to see there?
it's-
I'm interested in knowing.
Absolutely fair to ask those questions, absolutely. And I think maybe what would make sense would be for us to bring forward a plan, some drawings or some concepts, and try those out on the council and the citizens and see if that makes sense to everybody. And as I said, we're not going to rush into the first
No.
phone call we get. We want to do an RFP process and make a strong effort to bring in quality development for this site.
First, we have to drill down and find out what is our interest.
Sure.
Because the developer needs to see our vision as well for our city.
Yeah.
And if he has a vision, that's great, we can consider it, because sometimes somebody else's idea is your best idea.
Yeah,
I
that-
understand that. But this is, for anyone who's doubting it, this is 4 acres in the heart of our city, entrance and exit to the interstate. It's right across from the Tyson Event Center. Riverfront. This will be, it's a once in a lifetime, in our lifetime in this room's possibility to control the land, to allow it to be what we would like it to be for our community. Because I'll tell you what, I don't want a windshield replacement company in there that has the doors cut in the side of a building and looks like a Jiffy Lube. I mean, that's
No
just not an
offense to
appropriate,
Jiffy.
no offense to anyone, but I think that we can find a better use for those 4 acres than putting things like that in there.
Right. We want to find the highest and best use, and as I said, analogy to the Badger Building, we sent out information to, 80 or 100 developers and talked to many of them, and
Right.
were able
We
to
have
get
think
interest
about
from 4 or 5.
backspace, who's coming in, what's backspace going to end up being? I mean, I know we'll probably have people say a park or a lot of green space, but those don't bring tax dollars in to offset residential taxes either. So we have to consider that too. What's going to be the return on our dollar by taking this leap and making that investment?
Agreed. I think we need to show return on investment here. It's a significant investment by the taxpayers and by the city, and we need to show, at the end of the day, a strong multi-million-dollar investment that does have a good return on our dollars. So.
Marty, a couple of things over here.
Sure.
First one, you confirmed for me the 120-day due diligence.
Yes.
When will that period start? The 120 days, that's 4 months, correct? So we'd probably put it
Yes.
into, I mean, if we were to start today, it would be mid-January.
I think I'm going to look at Nicole.
When would that start?
I believe it's from the date the agreement is executed, which should be upon approval of the council today, if that's the
Should
vote.
be executed today. So with 120 days due diligence, are we of the mindset that whatever we may discover, we're going to try to deal with it and find a solution for it? Or is there a chance that in the due diligence, there could be something grave enough that it would either impact the purchase price or possibly impact the whole idea of the project? That's why we do the due
always a
diligence.
possibility, Councilman, that, as you know. And
But I think
we're going into it wanting this to be successful. We plan on it being successful, but there is the chance that there could be something that would come up with due diligence.
Okay. And my second question or point is, so that would get us probably into a closing in January, February sometime. So some of that rental was figured in as to offsetting some of the $3 million, but that's going to shorten that period. Do we have a little more accurate figure what the rents would be that we would start collecting, say, February 1 or March 1 to the end of whatever the lease terms are? Just to have an idea. I think at one point we were thinking $1 million.
Yeah, it's close to $1 million.
But I don't know if
total.
that's true when you cut off 4 months
over
plus,
2 years.
maybe 5 months, yeah.
Yeah, we can give you that.
Well,
Okay.
and we would just
Well,
look at
can they
monthly
escrow the
quotes.
rent and-
But I
Can they
think
escrow that rent for us and we capture the rent at the end of the closing, or no?
No, that usually not.
I don't think we would get the rent until we own it.
Okay.
But I think that the public wants to know too, what some of this offsetting amount is. So yeah, if you could do a little more fine tuning to that calculation, I would
Okay, yeah,
appreciate it.
yep, of course.
And you stated a lot of good reasons. You stated a lot of good reasons why we're taking a look at this. So thank you for that, Marty.
One more question. The 120-day due diligence, now, is that up to 120 days if we are satisfied and the work gets done
Typically, yes.
quickly?
I believe so, right?
Can we
Nicole? Yeah,
sooner?
we could.
Yes, that's the outside, or
Right,
the outside.
that's the up to 120 days. Okay, so just to be clear, what Dan was talking about is the city will be paid the rent that Walgreens is now paying the current owners. And same amount, so we would be capturing that for 2 years until Walgreens lease is up in 2027. So that totaled about $1 million, which would offset 1 million out of the 3 million spending.
That included the Burger King.
Oh, and Burger King,
Yeah.
right.
We'll
So,
get those numbers in
yeah,
more
it's going to be
detail.
affected because we have the due diligence timeframe. 4 months of that will be trimmed off, or at the most 4 months.
But Marty,
Well said.
I would caution you on the due diligence. So for example, just the environmental audit that you'll be doing, environmental study, you want to make sure that we really cover the entire area for those drillings to make sure, and not just pick 1 or 2 or 3 just for the sake of time.
Okay.
And it's going to take time to do an environmental and to do it the right way. And I think that's critical to
Sure.
having that. And I know you know that, but I just want to state it, that that's going to be that's a huge part of what you'll be doing.
Absolutely.
Due diligence. Okay.
And the reason I told Dan that is because I remember with the Perkins, there was a Sears auto store there, and I think they had some environmental issues because of that they had to,
It's always a possibility. Yeah.
that's right next to where you're buying, so.
Marty? Just wanted to, I know everyone kind of has some comments, especially on a development, and something in an item I think this significant, and so I just wanted to at least share some of my thoughts. A couple things. Number one, first and foremost, I want to commend staff for for looking for opportunities like this, putting it together, presenting it to the council. I want to thank you for that. I know that a lot of work went into making that happen, looking for opportunities like this, seeking them out, putting them together, negotiating, having conversations, and being able to do that. So I really thank the economic development team, but also all the other teams that were involved in putting something like this together. Secondly, what I would want to say too is, I think a lot about our peers. I think a lot about different communities and cities, and the growth that they've experienced, and the growth that I hope that someday we're able to capture and able to capitalize on. And I think sometimes if you look at the investment that our neighboring communities are investing in areas like their downtown and other places throughout their communities, but you look at the Old Market, you look at Phillips Ave or the new Steel District in Sioux Falls, you look at the East Village, all of these different areas required significant investment and cities to be aggressive and go after opportunities like this. And I agree with Julie. It's certainly a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to capitalize on something like this. And I have no doubt in my mind that there would have been people that would have wanted to put, money into or a business into one of these properties or, any one of them. But it takes someone stepping forward like the city to try to have a strategic vision for the entire property rather than letting it piecemeal out. And I think that that's what makes this significant. It's not just one property, but it's the entire 4 acres, which is amazing. I know that we had good experience with the Badgero building, and gosh, the developer that ended up landing on that project has stuck around and wanted to continue investing in this community, and I think that's worth noting. And so I think that really the future is looking great for opportunities like this, and do we always want to be the one taking the lead on that? Not necessarily. But I think that if you want to be great, we got to make sure that we're leading and investing as well. The last thing that I would say is, gosh, I've been a part of a lot of these strategic visioning conversations, right? Or different exercises that we've done. I remember some where they've brought different community members or students and all different kinds of people in a brainstorming exercise. I think one of the last ones was a Simcoe group or something, and had people sketching out what they would invest in and what areas of Sioux City they would want to see different things in and where they thought the best money would be spent. Almost all of it was in these corridors, right, in places like this, or it was at least one of the top ones. And so I think a lot about that we need to be thinking 10, 15 years from now and what that vision looks like. And I think you have to have plans and proposals like this put together in order to enact that or really
I
support.
remember that, Alex. That was at the, when we hosted the Iowa Planning Association here last year.
Yeah.
We had something like that when we sat for our presentation for the 5-year downtown infrastructure. They gave us 20 million or 10 million and said, what would you do with it if you had that kind of money? Yeah. Mine was bulldoze Walgreens in Ashley.
So anyway,
Thank you.
All right, H is a resolution awarding a service provider agreement to McGill Restoration for the Sergeant Floyd Monument Repair and Restoration Project. I move we delete.
Did you want to pull that for a separate vote, or you just wanted to note an extension?
Just know that.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that
Deleting?
okay, or do you want me to? I move we delete that.
Second.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
aye.
Moore.
Aye.
8 are actions authorizing payments. A is a resolution authorizing payment to Lieber Construction for the Highway 75 Regional Stormwater Improvement Project. B is a resolution approving change order number 12 and authorizing payment to RP Constructions for the annual sewer cleaning project. C is a resolution authorizing payment to Vanderpool Excavating for the South Fairmont Street reconstruction project. D is a resolution approving a partial settlement of the tort claim and authorizing payment. E is a resolution approving fund transfers for August. F is a motion approving the total expenses for August. 9 are applications for for cigarette, tobacco, nicotine vapor product permits. 10 are applications for alcohol license, and 11 are boards, commission, and committee minutes. Anybody to be heard on any of those items?
No one spoke on the on the project under G, 7G, did they?
Nope.
I find that interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
For now,
We'll talk.
For now.
Yeah.
for now.
Passes 5-0. Recommendations of Planning and Zoning, 12 is an ordinance vacating a portion of the property adjacent to 4510 Van Buren Street. The petitioner is Barry Bulkey and Melissa Einhorn. P and Z recommends approval of the vacation of Madison Street, but denial of the vacation of 45th Street. The first consideration was approved August 25th. This was deferred from September 8th. I'll move second reading.
I'll second that, but did that include the denial?
No, then you'd have to move that because,
We did that last.
no,
No, deferred.
we deferred.
Oh, okay.
Right, the first reading passed for vacation of both of the streets that were stated as the applicant had applied.
And then if you want, you have to read this, and if you want an amendment, you do the amendment now.
Okay.
Do you want to?
I'll make a
Otherwise, I'm going to open here. Well, I guess I don't have to open here. Go ahead.
Well, I'll make a motion to amend the main motion to not deny the vacation of 45th Street.
Is there a second?
Second. And actually, and this is for just voting on it, right? This is not,
The vote.
yeah, this is this the vote or to change the motion in general? I'm confused.
No, there was a second to the main motion. Then if you want to amend, you amend, and you
Yep.
seconded the amendment.
And now there's discussion and then.
Now there's
vote
discussion.
overall.
You'll vote on the amendment, and then you'll vote on
Okay.
the motion.
Perfect. So yeah, so I wanted to at least have a little discussion prior to the vote. All I was going to say was, after talking with more Planning and Zoning Commission members, driving up past the property, learning a little bit more about the discussion, and hearing from not only the petitioner, but also those that oppose the development. I mean, I think it's clear to me, especially Barry, I think from your standpoint, that you want what's best for you and your family and that property, and to build something that you've dreamed about. You know, we should all be so lucky. It's a beautiful piece of ground. I agree with all of those things, and it'd be my hope that you would find the ability or that your neighbors would find the ability to be able to have everyone be able to win on this and work together to be able to find the best location for you. It seems to me that there are other ways and people and things that happen on 45th Street that would keep me from vacating that. And I think I should have perhaps thought through or at least had time to be able to go up there initially, and I apologize for that. I do think that the recommendations of Planning and Zoning, I think they do their due diligence quite thoroughly, and especially when we have other neighbors that oppose, it's usually in the best interest to go along with that recommendation or listen to those. And so it would be my hope that you could continue to move forward with building your dream home and having it in that property, even if it's not the exact location that the two of you were dreaming of. But I think that opportunity presents itself with that land. And so I hope that you'll be able to work with your neighbors. And I hope the neighbors will understand and want to work with you on that as well, just to continue to improve that area. I think it's a beautiful piece of land, and if it continues to be developed, I think that'd be great. I would have that hope as well. And so thank you for bringing it forward, and I thought everyone was fairly respectful in the process, and I think it's just we need calmer heads and more conversations, neighborly conversations. So I thank you all for at least sticking around in this process, and P&Z for having at least thorough explanations and being willing to take calls and answer questions.
I got a question for Patrick, as long as he's here. Do we maintain that street?
The alleyway? Or
It's a
access?
street.
Access one? Or
It's a gravel.
45th, you mean?
Right?
How do you maintain that street when it's about this wide?
Yeah, Patrick Field Services, something like that we don't maintain just because it is overgrown the way it is right now.
No, I'm talking the street in. Van Buren.
It's extremely tight. Typically, that's just handled with a motor grader.
Looks like everybody's building the right of way to me. Am I wrong?
You're talking about the access going up to that property? No, we do not maintain that. That's
Yeah,
managed,
that's what I
that's managed by the property owners.
Correct, the access.
No, I'm talking from 46 down to this property we're talking about.
The little access road?
Yes.
Well, it's a road.
I think it's listed as an access.
Gordon's going to come pull it up.
Yeah.
Gordon, you can pull it
Well,
up.
it's an alley, but are we maintaining it? Because it looks like things are right on.
That's an alley. And no-
Okay, but it looks like it's about this wide. Have you driven up there?
Yeah, I drove up.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. Seems awfully close.
Isn't this where you,
Take a look.
No. Where's 46th Street? No, it's this right here, this. We must not have much right of way on that alley,
No.
huh?
Measure it.
Do we maintain that, Patrick?
Just for clarification, you're talking that access right there? South
Yeah,
off of 40?
Yeah,
This one
Yeah.
right here.
That's an access road.
yes.
That's
But
an alley.
The question is, do we maintain it?
Plow it or no?
To my knowledge, no, we do not have staff go down
I
that.
guess if you want to come forward, sir, I know you live on it, if you want to speak to it, of who maintains it.
I bet you plow it.
You guys run their motor graders down there?
Absolutely, yeah. So what happens,
You got to say your name,
oh,
sir.
I'm sorry, Brian Reynolds, 4524 Madison Street. And the mayor brought up a very good point, and I was going to bring it up, it totally slipped my mind. That piece of property, 45th, is big for the city of Sioux City. Just what he brought up is the road grader pushes all the snow and the overflow of snow onto 45th Street. And he goes up there, and occasionally he has to turn around there and come back down. And in the future, with them building a home, he'll have to go further, and the butt end of the road grader will have to go back and come back down. But he's been doing it in the neighbor's driveway. So back to what the mayor said, on a city street, when a plow comes down the street and shoves in your driveway and you're going, oh, wow. Well, they can do that because that's city frontage. But down our street, lane, or alley, exactly right, there's only 16 foot from the backside of the pole over to the other thing, and then it's all private property. So you can't go dumping all the city snow onto our property. And if the road grader cannot get up there to 45th Street and get rid of the snow, then these kind of things are going to be these kind of things, and the expense for the city is going to be to bring straight trucks in and loaders in and get all this snow out, where we've never had to do that before. So 45th is big in the wintertime for the city of Sioux City, so that was a good point.
But that's not why I'm asking, because we don't normally maintain these. That's why.
Correct.
Huh?
Correct.
Correct.
That's why I'm asking why we're,
Well, that's
Why
our street.
are we maintaining it?
That is a street, that is a legal street.
What's the
I
name of
don't
it?
think so.
Madison Van Buren is placard. You just go right up the telephone pole. It says Madison's on the right side, Van Buren's on the left side, and mailboxes, the whole works. It's our street.
You mean each side of the street has its own name?
Yep.
I
So,
think
the-
somebody made
so
that up.
so
I
here,
think somebody made that up.
no.
I
that's-
mean, serious.
No, really, yeah, exactly, it was a mistake. It was a mistake.
Are the signs
You're
green or
right.
pink?
You're right. The guy that owned all the dwellings.
What are you doing printing signs
Printing
here, buddy?
signs.
Come on.
No,
I think
there-
you just lost your snowplow.
there are two signs up there I saw today.
No, they're on the telephone pole.
They're up there.
It's
I saw
all,
it today.
Van Buren's on the left, Madison's on the right.
Well, yeah,
and-
because
and
it's
we're
the
all
name of the
rumor
streets
control.
on the other sides that have wider right-of-ways.
Yeah, and they're vacated.
There's never in the history of the world,
Oh, now, don't say
there
that.
has never in the history of the world been a Madison Street up there. It's been in the
History of
alley.
the world.
Well, you know, from the beginning of time. From the beginning of, huh?
You're just baiting me on more and more with every
It's a
statement.
true story.
You're
It really
digging it,
is.
you're digging it.
No, it really is. There's never
I'm
been.
calling George Lindblade. We gotta discover.
Yeah, we got to get a historian on this.
Yeah, well, I am.
Tom Munson, if
No,
you're
I am,
watching,
because
help us.
I've been there my whole life, and I had to go down here to the city.
You never moved away?
No, I've been here. all
How
day.
long have you owned this property to the?
21 years, going on 21 years.
Even the lots that you picked up?
The big corn.
No, them all come, and Madison Street, and that was because the city guy said, hey, you could do this, and that dwelling to the north of me, which is, abides by 45th Street, he said, if you was to vacate that Madison Street, he says they could get their part of it, and he could put a septic tank in, because it was red tag. And I said, yeah, I'll do
A
that.
city employee told you that?
Yes.
What was their name?
I don't remember, it was way back. Well, no.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah, you would know him.
Well, and it made
I could figure it
sense, 'cause
out.
then-
How long have you owned the cornfield?
That came a few years after I had bought my dwelling, my house.
Yeah, because you will be the third guy since I've been around in '85 that's told me I'm gonna put houses on that lot. Guess what? I don't have a lot of years left.
And neither do
And
I.
I don't think
Well,
we'll
what's it
ever
gonna
see
take?
houses on that
Rod
lot.
Lieber, I'm waiting on Rod.
Why? Why are you waiting for him?
Well, give me somebody else.
I will.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right, I got somebody in line.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll be doggone.
Right now, absolutely.
No, I've always
How many
said-
acres is that?
No, you can't, I'm on record. I was born and raised in Leeds on Madison Street, and when I ended up there, as I told the story, my wife passed away a year ago. She never would have sold it because she's a country girl. But I always envisioned it out there, wow, it'd be a great Leeds addition.
It would be, and I have the perfect person.
Yeah, and I had a friend come up and said, are you gonna be able to live with that, with all them houses? I said, I'm 68 years old, and I can say, like he said, when he's gonna retire from here, he was involved in projects, and he can be proud that he looked back. I picked up on it, and that's how I look at that street, not a cornfield, that there should be homes out there.
Yes.
Okay.
Go for the greater good.
Yeah, exactly, and 45th Street
Absolutely.
will be huge for that.
But I suppose my question is, and maybe Nicole has an answer, I mean, I just want to know legally if that is a street and if we need to be maintaining it, or if we just have been maintaining it out of the goodness of our heart and we probably should not be because of situations like this.
It is showing up on the map as just an access street. If there are signs that are located there, my best guess, and without researching the history, is it's probably for 911 purposes because Madison and Van Buren
Or mail delivery.
don't run through. I would imagine that because the access comes that way, it's for location purposes.
Yes, and you would have to have somewhere to direct, whether it's post office or emergency personnel or
Sure.
whatever.
But as far as maintaining the street, it comes up as an access street, and I think, well,
Just-
Patrick can probably say typically we don't.
Correct,
This would
just
be
as much as an
unusual.
alleyway that we do.
Right.
The same way that we put a barricade in the middle of an alley in Leeds and nobody knows how it got there either. So we have a lot of this that goes on without consistency. That's
But we do
the thing
have a
that bothers me.
Well, it's always been maintained from day one, and it's always listed as a street. Van Buren, and the street signs will say it.
Well, I know, but we had a barricade and
But you have a
we had a
street sign
barricade
and a
out in
visible
Leeds that
address.
shouldn't have been there without council direction.
Yeah, well, no, it's been a mistake from day one, but still, I mean, it would be grandfathered in.
Well, it sounds to me like you won the battle of 45th and you lost the battle of
Well, I don't.
plowing on your
yeah,
access.
wow.
Your neighbors are going to make,
Well, then that means they're gonna have to maintain it too, so.
yeah.
Everyone,
Yeah, I
exactly.
don't-
Now you gotta work
I don't
together.
know
That's
how
a beautiful
that's
thing.
possible, huh?
Beautiful thing.
Brian Reynolds, before you leave, would you drop your contact information off?
Yes, can I do it? All right, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? be
There
heard?
you go, Patrick. We're just helping you out.
712-251.
Yes.
Oh, hold on.
Brian, do you text?
Yeah,
Then you
I'll
just gotta
text
say
Chris before I call
names.
you.
Yeah.
yeah.
Melissa Einhorn at 4103 Jefferson.
Barry Bulkey, 4103 Jefferson.
Go ahead.
Okay, so clearly we're discussing 45th Street. Hopefully you all got to go out and take a look at this and the terrain that's involved. So for the city to develop that into a street with the utilities, like I got the quote, $2,000 a foot for a street. You're gonna spend $1.3 million to run a street across there,
Under ideal conditions.
under ideal.
This is from Chris.
Yeah,
So
this is
isn't-
ideal.
we
This
pulled it
isn't-
from nowhere.
This isn't the hills that you guys clearly saw. We are going to pay you guys $10,000. You were in the black with this, like, you can use it for whatever projects you guys need to do versus costing the city money for, as it's shown, access to this one corner of the property. It was discussed that the closest utilities are here on Van Buren. But as we talked to the city itself, here at 46th and Harrison Street, and I sent you guys a picture, there's clearly sanitary sewer and water, and that is downhill from Mr. Reynolds' farm. Like, you walk out there, you see it's downhill. And as we all know, poop flows downhill. Like, for the utilities to make it there, you guys are gonna have to go uphill and downhill through the north side of our property. Yet again, more cost to that $1.3 million. It was brought up by Councilwoman Shaner, if houses are built there though, they are not next to the sanitary, close enough to the sanitary sewer where they can have city water and septic tanks, if they're houses.
They can have it.
Yes,
just
they
don't
can.
require. to
Right,
hook
they're
on.
they're not required, but they can. For us, our proposal is we're gonna, yet again, use that access street to come up through there. And it was discussed in the last one by Mr. Friedel that he was concerned about access to his, for a septic tank being replaced. It was brought up by Councilman O'Kane that are we willing to put an easement in for that? And we actually discussed that with him. I was hoping that he would show up to say, yes, we did discuss it and we are willing to put in an easement so he has access for that. Because that was his only concern. He even said that to you guys, that he'd be willing for us to purchase it. Like, he would have less of a problem if we gave him this easement. The problem he has now, and if you guys drove up that access road, you saw that that was a 5-foot hump there, right now, currently.
Yeah, he can't get to his septic tank right now before we do anything, before anything happens with 45th. He can't get to his septic, and that wasn't caused by us.
Yeah, that
That was caused by the vacation of Madison back in 2011. He's terrain locked right now, and he can't get to that area. But once we fix it and make sure that he has an easement, and we're hoping that you can mandate that as part of the sale of 45th, we're gonna fix it so that he can get to his property again, because right now, he can't. The only way that he could get through is to Madison, but that's been blocked off,
Can
and
you point out that hump while you're at the?
there's no way to get a semi-truck up that hump with a septic tank on it.
so the hump is
Right there.
right there. And that is where clearly, like, they didn't want to go any further with it because there's no reason to. And I did send you guys pictures, I don't have the picture with me, of my truck stopped right at that hump where
Right, you went no further.
I didn't want to damage my truck, and I can't imagine a semi-truck with a concrete septic tank making it up over that.
Right.
So right now, he's blocked out. He can't get there right now. We're the ones who are going to fix that for him because that's the right thing to do. He's our neighbor. He was led to believe that we were going to put retaining walls and do landscaping and look
Yeah,
like landscape.
we're not landscaping people.
No, we want to make sure that we can access our property and that he can as well. It's our intention to leave that because we need to be cognizant of how water's going to drain. We don't want to flood him out, and putting a road there without being careful about how water is going to drain is going to leave him in a worse predicament. We were considering him before any of this came up.
So
But-
where are you, you're going to come in, I guess I looked at your property and wonder why you can't build a house right there in the clearing. Where are you going to build your house?
Here, we've got
Oh,
that.
yep.
We've got those papers.
We brought it's buried underneath there. Okay.
Okay.
So if we can switch to the little projector thing here. Oh, I'll turn it properly so you guys can. I don't know,
Had to focus it.
sorry. Because we wanted to make it clear, so currently, if we build our house without that property, so the
Yeah.
blue is our house, and the gray is our driveway here. As you can see that green line up there, that is that ridge that's along there.
It's a cliff. That's not a ridge, that's a cliff.
It's the top.
Yeah.
And so therefore, because we gotta be 45 foot back, we can't be close like everybody else is on that access road. So we have to set back from that.
Setback is 45 feet there?
That's 45 feet because the street is 60-some feet.
But zoning is telling you 45 feet?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that was 25.
Is that right?
It's 25, isn't it?
We're going to be 45.
It's depending on the street, right? Or
Chris Madsen, planning manager. The setback would be 25 feet, front
Right.
yard setback.
Right, not 45.
okay. So shift it half that distance up.
Put it closer.
Yeah,
It'll put it closer, but we're still on that cliff there. So that was the main purpose, that was the main purpose of buying 45th Street, because now,
we can do this.
yeah,
That, but still, it's not.
What's that back rectangle?
the front
gray.
rectangle is the garage, the back rectangle is the house.
Can you turn your house the other way?
Then it's tough going down the hill, because that's not flat ground, that's a slope. So it's how we're going to have the walkout planned.
Yeah,
I mean, people are talking, well, you have 2 acres. We don't have 2 acres.
Yeah,
Not
the
a
two, it's
buildable,
not all
right.
developable.
Right.
Yeah,
I
like
know, I
that,
understand.
most of that, what we have is that tiny little corner, and we have to try to work it within that corner of our property. So that's why we were hoping to get the 45th, is so that we could have a little more room with our setbacks. Not that we're gonna push up against our neighbor or block anyone out. We don't want to do that. We just wanted more room with the setbacks, although now we're kind of getting to a point where we think we may need to have that access just to protect ourselves in the future. When we start building, if we have cement trucks or if we have, construction crews that are going to be blocking that alley, what's to stop someone from taking pictures and saying, I need my access right now, I'm entitled to this access, and slowing down our construction, halting construction, sending police out there to us, coming to zoning meetings.
Doesn't seem like something like that would happen just when you're building your home.
But you don't know what.
Well, we don't know a lot, but
And
I'm
again-
sorry, I just don't think something like that's going to happen that's going to hinder your house building.
we've already been threatened to be sued
Twice,
Well,
just being here.
just being here, just
Uh,
outside the
you-
council chamber.
You can understand our concern then, because
Yeah, you
I
want to
don't
be,
just
you want to be
threaten to sue.
protected as well.
right.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to come here to ask for permission to, for temporary closure of the street so that we can grade our access. So are we gonna have to come in here and fight every single time? We're looking to avoid confrontations in the future. We want to make sure that we address all the reasonable issues of people, like Mr. Friedel, we've talked to. We had our real estate agent who's representing us, Jacqueline Brumman, and once he found out that you're willing to do an easement, he was completely fine with what we were doing. So as long as the city can work that into agreement to purchase, we want to make that happen so that he's protected.
Andrew, the other question I had that another member had talked to me about was the farmer using that land to be able to go through to get the sprayer or equipment through to the farmland. Is that accurate? Do you remember that being
Yeah,
a part of
that-
conversation?
Yeah, that's our understanding is the access from the field comes up the alley through, across 45th Street to get into that field because there's currently.
How does he get up that hill? You
Here's
drive
the-
out there?
Yeah, I drove out there. Yeah, it's
The Billy Goat Hill.
yeah.
Wasn't taking my truck up there.
Here's where the access is currently from what we can see and what from, there's a gate from Mr. Reynolds' property on 46th Street where he has direct access into his field. And that's all flat, there's no hills there.
Is that where the farmer or the person doing the field is getting in, or
In
is
the
it?
past, it has been used for that from people who have done work there.
It was stated to us at our meeting that they use that alley access and come up to 45th Street and come across into there. That's what was stated to us.
Heavily used.
Looks like they're
Because
coming.
that was my other concern, is if other people are using that, I don't necessarily want to vacate it.
Well-
I understand that, because, look, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
make sense and see, and I appreciate you guys being flexible and trying to look for a good path forward as well, but that's just it, is it's like, well, I understand your concern, and that's a wide street, that if we're not looking at, like, we're going to put a street in there anytime soon, I don't want you to have to be so far away. I want you to be able to build your home in a place that makes sense if we're not gonna do something with it. But then again, it's like, if multiple people are using that area, I wanna keep access open for them.
So one person is claiming the use,
One
Mr.
person
Reynolds.
is claiming
The
the-
farmer is the ones that work for him. That's who.
And he's selling that property, so that the farm access, he has one more year, and he's selling. So no developer is going to want to come down an alleyway and then use an undeveloped paper road. They're going to go off of 46th and Jefferson. They aren't going to use that back road. And it's $1.3 million under ideal circumstances for the city to connect that road. You've got a $3 million project for massive city use. You're not going to spend $1.3 million for that.
To connect to the corner of a property, not the center. I would understand if this was to the center of the property.
I know, and that's where.
For development.
When he brought up the farm ground, or that's where the farmer was getting in, I was like, okay, well, if more people than just Jamie are worried about it. Sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
And also too, from my understanding, what Gordon stated, it was never about paving 45th Street. It was about getting utilities.
And we've shown
wasn't-
utilities, that is not the ideal place for utilities. Utilities would be coming from Harrison, where it's downhill from the property to Harrison. Poop, as we've said, goes downhill. If you're coming from there to our property, you're going uphill. And Mr. Gordon had said last time, you can't go uphill. That's exactly what you'd be doing on our property. So which is it?
And that's what Gordon told us, that the best place to access was to come up, hit 45th Street, and go west.
Well, the good news is Gordon is here. So Gordon, why don't you come talk us how you're gonna pump it uphill?
In this imaginary connection.
Yeah.
So there is sanitary and sanitary and water here. But actually, there's water beyond that, but water's not the question, because it does come down this way. It comes down 46, and it does come down Jefferson.
Okay.
For circulation, it would be better for once you're in there to connect, but that's doable without it. This property here, approximately about diagonal, not quite perfect. The southeast portion of it has to drain to the south. The only other place to do that is down here at 42nd. That's where the nearest sanitary is to the south, or over here on Van Buren, right about where this cursor is. You see that on there?
Mm-hmm.
What about Harrison?
Harrison.
Straight north.
Over here?
Yeah.
Yes, the northwest portion of it can drain that way.
Oh, but you're saying,
Not the whole.
Not the whole property, no. Now, this is doing, me looking at our GIS and the topography on there, not going out there with survey equipment or anything like that. From the looks of it, no, just that top corner could. And then the south property here does have to go south, although a portion of it can go to the east, down around onto Van Buren.
So you're saying you don't need to install a pump?
No.
But you
Okay,
have to go
so
up
this
those
hill,
are
this hill is up to right about here from the Van Buren where it ends to the front of your property. If it's graded flat, is about an 8% slope.
So
It does go up in the center, right around here. It does peak again and then comes back down, but if that's all flattened out, it can go to an 8% slope.
So we're going to need a bridge to our property, to our house that we built?
No, it just has, it's flat right there in front of your property, it stays there.
That doesn't make sense, because if you're going to bring the grade down that far, our house is up on a hill, and now you've created a valley right beside us.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Can I show you? Like,
So
we can see it on
right-
Google Maps, like it's.
Right here,
Yeah,
from here, and it peaks right about here, about 10 feet higher than it is here. So it can be graded this way to this point. Again, that's if you're doing a road. You don't have to do a road. I'm only talking utilities, sanitary. The sanitary can be dug in and down to this point, no change for you at all. You're going to have to do some grading anyway just to get down this alley up to your property, whether it's this way or this way, whatever way you come, no matter what, you've got grading to do.
That's not 10.
that's not anywhere near close to grading 50.
Folks, can I make a motion to bring this back a week so that they can have some meetings and decide, what really is the best way and what's right, what's uphill, what's downhill, what's closer? I mean, can we do that?
Sure, and understanding that the council's consideration related to vacation is focused on the transportation system and whether or not the roadway will be used.
Right.
Or is used currently in the
I don't
transportation.
feel like I can make that decision based on the information.
I don't think it's in the transportation system,
Okay.
but I'm not saying we don't need it for utilities. Right.
Okay.
So if we're talking about the water, that house that's to the north of me, that's basically parallel with their property. And they brought it right up, they just brought it right up between Madison and Van Buren. To the left of it is their water, and their property is just parallel. So they can either come up that same way, or like the guy down in Thing said, they can come up Van Buren and cut straight across to their property, or they can come up 44th Street where another brand-new house is, it's already did it, and come in from the backside of their property.
That seems a little unreasonable, because again,
No,
we're talking about
that
$1.3
house-
million.
We're going to talk one at a
of-
time.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
talking
where that
about-
house
We're going to talk
is-
one at a time.
Where the house is that already's got water, that's straight across from your property, is just the distance from the street over, and that's it. So I would say that's the closest way to your property versus coming up Van Buren Street and cutting across. I'd come right on up and boom, you're right there. Why would you come up Van Buren and cut over when that little house went right up our street on the left-hand side, and you go so many more feet and you're at your house?
With all due respect to everyone, it seems like it's easy. Well, why don't you just go to this corner? Why don't we do that? Why would we do this? I think that you guys really do need to have some future discussions with engineering, our engineering department, and really look at the topography, look at the connections, why we can do something, why we cannot do something. Because this conversation that we're having now and that we're listening to, I don't feel comfortable making a decision today. So I'm going to move that we bring it back in a week.
Need to withdraw our motions and get
And does that make sense, Gordon, and
Yeah.
everyone, and even
Just
Andrew?
for
Like,
clarity.
I want clarity to make sure who is using it, because, sir, you can verify, you're saying that the people that are operating on your field are putting sprayers, combines, whatever equipment they need, they're using 45th Street. That's what you were here saying.
Yes, that's when I bought that tract of land, that was my legal entrance and only legal entrance. What they're talking about is different tract. I sell that to you, you can't cross over
That's,
your
no,
property.
no, the question is, you're telling me a combine goes up that hill, I wouldn't even drive my
Not the
pick.
combine,
I wouldn't drive a
Four-wheeler,
oh,
maybe.
he walks, yeah.
He walks.
I'm asking, where does he get his
Them
tractor
balloon
in?
tires just
My
go
husband's a
right up.
farmer,
The
and
road
I'll be
grader goes
careful.
up- The road grader goes right up it.
Where does he bring his tractor and his implement? How does he get it onto the farm?
He was
ground?
always going in Jerry Williams on Jefferson Street, and then for some reason, he decided not to rent his property no more. And that's where it came into more of the life, that it was gonna have to come in from if you continue farming, it's gonna have to come in over on my side.
Can't
And
get through
yes,
there.
some of it comes in across two other private parcels that I just happen to own. Okay, but someday I'm not, and you can't cross over, and you're gonna need the same original entry that was given to me when I bought the parcel, and that's 45th Street. And you don't need to concrete it, 46 ain't concreted. You don't even need to gravel it at this point, and gravel is all you'll ever need. So there's no expense
Thank you
there.
for your input.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
So do I have to show up again next Monday?
No, not if you don't want to.
No, you'll have to.
I mean, you can show up, it's not required.
But it won't affect it like it
We're
did the
voting
other-
next week, so you might want to.
Yeah, you won't
But you
be.
don't have to, it's not required.
Okay, good,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
All right.
Get a second,
You're moving to table it a week.
is there a second?
Second, and
I have one more thing.
Go ahead.
If it's all right. Claiming that when he bought this property, if you can show it up there, that his only access was 45th Street. So he bought this property in, I believe it was, where are we here? 2009. So in 2009, he's claiming that his only legal access was via 45th, but that's not correct. This Madison Street was not vacated at that time. This was illegal access to that property. He didn't vacate this until 2011. So he bought Madison after he bought this field. So he had this as his legal access when he bought that field. So according to him, because he bought Madison, now he no longer can use it because it's not his access because he owns it. And I don't see the sense in that, so.
Oh, she
I
don't
just
know what
wanted
she's
to make
talking
sure
about.
that was clear.
45th Street goes into the field. Madison stops at 45th Street, so she's completely wrong. 45th Street crosses, and if it was continued to be a 45th Street, it would go all the way across that field over to Jefferson Street. There is no such thing as Madison in between. It comes up to the south side of 45th, stops. Then it's 45th. Then it continues on the other side, and it would go through. So, yeah, 45th Street.
but I think what
always
she's
was.
saying is that you'd be able to access your field off of 46th, right? Is that, like,
Yes.
you would be
Oh,
on
did you see the
46th and
banks
that
over
was
there?
the
Yeah, does she
street.
want to write me a check?
Here, no,
Okay, let's,
right,
Yeah,
enough.
We're gonna bring it
right.
back.
Withdraw your amendment. I do. And who seconded it? Alex?
Alex seconded my amendment to the name.
I will draw my motion. You withdraw the second.
We'll just,
Now, move to defer for a week. Second.
I second, yeah.
Shaner,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
13,
Gordon, one moment. Gordon, can you please give them your contact information so
They have it.
either you or someone else can meet with them, sit down, and let's get some clarity, and so we're all on the same page, know where everything is, and everybody agrees before we get here next week.
so for clarification for the public, the second reading will be held next Monday.
Right.
Okay.
right.
Okay.
13 is a hearing and ordinance amending Chapter 25.05 entitled Site Development of the Municipal Code. The petitioners, the City of Sioux City. P and Z recommends approval. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing's now open. Do you have anything for the good of the order, Mr. Gleiser?
The one thing that we discussed is the amount of time that could take to, between now and when we stop allowing people to put up signs for a little.
For more than a little bit. Have you seen those monsters out there?
I have.
I know they gotta be a good electrical user, but come on, man.
It's the meter, so.
And they do already have those in other communities. I mean, I was just in Sioux Falls and I was up by Grand Falls Casino on that side of town. We're on that side of town too. I mean, those aren't new. They're doing those displays.
No, I know, but the one on
The
Highway
location.
75 is so big on that lot.
Yeah.
It's just gaudy.
No, we agree fully.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not just a sign, it's with a big billboard like that, let's just say, does that protect someone who's already got a sign there that owns a business? You know, there's off-premise, on-premise, and is that gonna overshadow my Julie's Home Cooking sign? And because they're so close together, they're two different signs, so.
Yes,
I think
that-
that's a good reason for us to take a step back and say we need to separate these
Yes.
ordinances. And unfortunately, we missed that last year when we put the moratorium on to revisit the ordinance. We did miss that.
Yeah, we all agree.
Have a moratorium for the rest of my life on the council. You can
I
deal
don't
with
think
it.
it's even going to
2
take
years.
6 months. I really don't.
Chris Magic, Planning Manager, we'll use the next couple months to look at the code, look at what other cities are doing, whether there's a larger separation between on-premise, off-premise, or even like the mayor said, maybe just a full moratorium on them. We'll look at all options and bring that back for planning and zoning and your vote.
Put that on my committee's schedule too.
We can, absolutely.
The only guy in the room old enough to remember Lady Bird Johnson, but she had a lot to do. She was a lot smarter than we thought
Can you
back.
send Teresa an email to get that on?
Anyone else be heard? Hearing is closed.
Just a question after this vote. Mr. Gleiser.
5-0, go ahead.
Could you send out the criteria that we look for under the transportation on street rights of way? You had it in your report, but could you resend that to us so we would have that again?
Not 100% sure what you're.
What
Yeah, I think you're asking for the standards for vacation
Stan-
and what is considered by.
standards? Is that
Yes.
better? Yeah, that's a better term. Okay, yeah.
Sure.
The standards
can-
for deciding what to vacate, what not to vacate.
We can provide that from city.
Or the guidelines. We used to go through guidelines, and if somebody was using.
I'll make sure Chris gets right on it.
He's right there. He already stepped up.
You know what I'm talking about? You reading my mind from 25, 30 years
Yeah,
ago?
those are in your staff, we still use those guidelines, and those are listed out in the staff report.
Could you, but could you just resend those to council?
Absolutely.
Just so we have,
And we'll include them as well in the staff report that will be part of the RCA for next week too.
okay.
You're welcome.
I know I don't talk,
Man.
thank you. I know I
You
don't
got a
talk
heck of a
that way.
job here.
But I have the mayor convinced that I'm 30 years younger than he is. That Lady Bird who?
But thanks.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good evening, council. My name is Jack Hogeveen. I'm here from Heidman Law Firm, appearing on behalf of Global Foods Processing.
No, we're not there
That's
yet.
the next item.
Just give us a minute.
I'm sorry?
You can just
No,
stay
you're
right there.
good. We got to we got to waive the rules and get past the one for, you're next. Anybody opposed to waiving the statutory rule?
No.
Move that.
Second.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Shaner,
Aye.
I'll move second, third.
Waters,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Shaner,
Aye.
Scott.
Now that you stood up, though, ask Mr. Moore, he'll tell you how you can charge twice for this meeting. See? What's that?
Apologize for that. I was a little excited.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I got to open it. Yeah, I know.
Again,
We're-
I'm Jack Hogeveen.
Just one second.
Okay.
14 is a hearing and resolution.
Don't sit
accepting-
down, though.
Don't sit down.
Stay right there. Accepting the proposal of Global Foods Processing authorizing the sale of land commonly known as 506 Cunningham Drive in the combined Floyd River Urban Renewal Area. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing's now open.
There we go. Third time's
Have
the
the
charm.
floor.
My name's Jack Hogeveen. I'm from the Heidman Law Firm, appearing on behalf of Global Foods. We're just respectfully requesting that the council proposes or approves the resolution for the purchase, and willing to answer any questions that the council may have.
I don't think so.
I
I
don't
think
think we
we're,
have any. We
Good,
know it's
good job.
ongoing.
public
I
hearing's
was
now
gonna say, I
closed.
just talked to David and Dolores. I'll tell them you're doing a good job.
Awesome, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the hearing closed, Mayor?
Yes. Passes 5-0. 15 is a resolution approving and directing submission of a grant agreement authorized by HUD under the Community Development Grant Agreement Funding Approval. I'll move it.
Second.
Mayor,
Yes.
did we not do all 3 hearings on number 14 today?
It's not that type of deal.
Not that kind?
Just the ordinances
Oh.
require 3 readings.
Yep. Passes 5-0. 16 is a resolution approving and directing submission of a grant agreement authorized by HUD under the Home Investment Partnership Agreement Funding Approval. I'll move that.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 17, Gill Hauling Solid Waste Collection, Recycling, and Disposal Services, Alley Exiting Strategy.
Hi, Erin Montang, Environmental Services.
Justin Franks, District Manager for Gill Hauling.
I'll run through this pretty quickly, and then we'll just mostly have like just a discussion if you have questions. Just trying to get some of the collections out of our unmaintained alleys in the city. This is the situations that we see in the city. Containers tipped over, furniture in alleys. We want it to be more clean, more sanitary.
So now we'll see them tipped over in the front of, in the street?
Exactly. There you
I'm
go.
sorry?
He's just being.
We will see them tipped over. Do you know the problem that it's not their fault, but I've had it twice at my place, is homeless people grab garbage cans from 3 and 4 blocks away and they tip them out to see if there's anything in it, then I get to clean it up. So you're not going to change that, no matter where you have them. I don't understand. I mean, there may be other reasons, but that's not going to change anything in this community.
Right, and we'll get to that portion of it. Most of this, like customer service, alleys aren't consistently serviceable, weather conditions, cars blocking it, retaining walls. There's decreasing maintenance in those unmaintained alleys, there's potholes. Our residents aren't maintaining them. I mean, it is their responsibility for upkeep at that point. There's not gravel, there's, again, potholes, sinkholes starting. The trucks are heavier than a normal car. Health and safety concerns, the alleys, a lot of them are out of sight, out of mind. Again, that's like the public health. Winter weather is like a major concern for ours. When we get those alleys with the snow in it, we can't get the trucks in. You know, the city doesn't have plows, so it's up to the residents to clear them out. So we end up with people calling in saying they're not getting their trash picked up because we can't access it.
So
Again,
kinda-
just some roads things.
So kind of commenting on the winter situation, I think that is the biggest concern for us, right? I know that you guys don't like residents calling into the city. We don't like it either. And the biggest issue is unmaintained alleys, overgrown alleys, and not being able to service in snow and ice. And as you all know, we're coming up into winter weather very soon. We're not looking to do all of it overnight. Absolutely not. We're going to go over kind of what our ideas were, but this is why it's a discussion where we want feedback. How do we do this correctly? Because it's all a customer service issue. We have about 10 to 11% of our customers are in alleys, and the other 89 to 90% are out. So on snowy days, the roads are plowed, they get service, but the alleys do not. And it's not fair to those customers.
We're not proposing all of them are going to ever get done. There's always alleys that will never be curbside in our city. Our terrain is just not made for it.
Which we've talked about some in Public Works, I mean, in teams, just discussion, I mean, just for disclosure with the council, like we talked about some of them, just, it's not going to be a possibility, you know, whether you can't access the front of the house or you wouldn't be able to necessarily drag it all the way down the alley and then all the way around the house, whether it's a retaining wall situation or something else. I mean, there will be those that are still going to have to be serviced in the alley, but it's just an effort to at least assist collection of these different ones as well, or just, and make it safer for your drivers too, I'm sure.
Correct.
Our phase one trial would be these addresses on this phase one. Small areas. I put them on a map for you so you could see where they were at. And these are pictures that are actually those alleyways or a few of the alleyways. I mean, they're very small increments, usually like a block long, that would be pulled out. Some of these do actually have street side and alleyway pickup right now. We don't know, I don't know how we got there, but so we're double dutying it. They're driving down the street and then coming up the alley and then going down the next street. Is
that because
it's just the way it's been, right?
Some people aren't bringing it to the end of the alley then, I guess, that's what you're saying?
Well, so like for instance, I don't have a street in particular, but say 21st Street, half the residents on, say, the left side, they're bringing it out, but the right side sets it in their alley. So we do the left side, then we turn around and go back up the alley.
Are people in the alley all supposed to bring it to the end of the alley?
No,
Currently, you drive down there and get.
we drive down the alleys, correct.
Snow that you can't drive through.
A lot of, like yesterday's thunderstorms that rolled through, low hanging wires, trees fall down. We can't go down the alleys until they're cleaned up, and that's
There
on
were low-hanging
residents. What was that?
But there were low-hanging wires?
There's always low hanging wires, all the time. We work with the Mid-America, we'll report it, and it's whenever they get there to fix it, then we'll go down. But where if it's a city street, the road departments are typically on it much quicker than the alleys.
And just for transparency too, I know you weren't in these meetings, but at public, and the other council members weren't either, but in the Public Works team, we did talk about other solutions. I mean, we talked about what other opportunities there would be, such as a collection area at the end of the alley, you know, and having more dedicated space at the end so that you would just have to stay on the city street and be able to do that. And I think that could be a solution, but then the problem becomes, and staff brought this up, is, you know, that's private property that you're then creating an area for all of these dumpsters to be on. Like, that is someone's property. There isn't necessarily right of way. You can't necessarily use all the area that the sidewalk is on, or, you know, some of those areas are very tight. And so you wouldn't have space necessarily for a corral or whatever you would call those to be able to put all of those containers. And so that's, I mean, we tried looking at other options as well. Like, I understand it's not ideal for someone to necessarily have to try to bring this, whether it's through their yard or otherwise, but it's not ideal for these workers to try to get through the alleys either, so.
The other issues along with the power lines, you can see some of the power lines in these photos, but the trees, if they're on personal property, a lot of the times they don't maintain their trees and then we can't get through or we get stuck on them. If it's in the street and it's on the right of way, cities can go out there and trim it if need be, or if there's an issue, but a lot of the times on the private property, they're not maintained as well.
And on top of what you said about, you know, sometimes they're like the retaining walls, we will not be able to move those. We fully understand that. And currently within the city, there's residents that just can't bring it to the curb even in the front. We have a waiver, they sign it. We do special walk-ins and we'll continue to do that even for the alley sets. So they would just be on a list, and we just know that we have, it's like a small F-350 pickup with four-wheel drive instead of a full-size trash truck.
And then the map, so then the map's a Tuesday. You can see it's the areas. The yellow would be that full day, most of the area. Those are the alleys that would be on the removal to the street side. Wednesdays, you can see in that top picture up here, it's an alley that it does have quite a slope on it. This doesn't really show it that well, but there is quite a slope on it. The retaining walls. There's another one with the slope. A lot of these, like with the grass, they're unmaintained. A lot of people don't mow them.
So you're not expecting them to drag it all the way down the alley if they're in the middle of the block. You just want it to bring to their front of their home.
Just to the front of their home.
And some of them do have that access. It's just they've always been an alley pickup.
Right.
Some of them are, it would just be a different.
And again, this is kind of your pilot.
Yeah,
Give it a
pilot
test on-
program. We're not saying it'll happen in a week, a month, that it'll be done. It could take months for us to get it.
I think this is a good time to start it with winter coming upon us, so you can see if it's actually going to be an improvement, and maybe it'll prove you wrong. We don't know.
And the process is, I mean, so our suggestion was, so these first alleys, the 3 per day, it equates for like 146, 147 homes, plus or minus. And we're gonna go put door hangers on every single, they're on your guys' screens, every single home that it affects, plus they're gonna get mailed a letter prior to us ever doing this. So they have the opportunity to call and say, hey, I physically can't. We'll put them on that list for that walk-in.
That's excellent. That's a great idea. And from your pictures, my goodness, I'm thinking we're long overdue making these changes and having a discussion about it, but I'm glad we're doing it today.
Right, and that's what
And
this,
I'd like to hear
want to start
I'd
the
like to hear-
dialogue.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what the public has to say, so this will certainly trigger that.
Absolutely.
My name is John Williams, 1613 West 17th. I have the perfect example for what they're talking about. My house faces 17th Street. 2 houses on the corner face Ross Street. There are 3 of us that put garbage in the alley. I've owned this house 18 years. I've tried for 18 years to get the trash cans out of there. Because when the trucks come through there, I maintain my alley. Because the trash trucks make ruts. If you drive out there right now, there's ruts because I haven't filled them because I got mad. I'd love to get out of there. I tried to buy the alley. One of the gentlemen's, the house got sold before I could buy the alley, and he won't allow me to buy the alley. He could put his trash in front. The truck actually comes down the paved alley, drives around the corner, comes back up, and backs down my alley to pick up my trash and the first house. Then they go straight south through alleys like you're talking. They're all unmaintained, all the way down to 14th Street. And there are pretty bad ones. I'll give them that.
John, you sound like a perfect candidate for this pilot.
I'd love to get them out of
Anywhere
there.
near any of these?
Me and the house in the corner could put them right on the
You're
curb.
1316 West 17th?
1613.
1613, dyslexia.
We can put them out front, and the guy on the second house up on Ross could put his out on the street because they drive right by.
Well, I'll have ERA look to see if that's in the vicinity of any of the ones that they're going to propose.
I know it is, and me and you are going to need to talk anyway.
Have you had?
I'd love to get them out of there.
Okay, if you're in the vicinity of these
So-
tests, these guys will get you added, and let's give it a try and see how it works.
Well, I have no problem with it because me and the neighbor can put them right on the end of the alley, and the other guy, either he can walk down or he can put them out in front of his house.
Excellent. Thank
Because
you.
they drive right by his house to come back around the corner.
Okay,
So
thank you.
Does any,
I need you to stick around though.
No, we'll get your
yeah, stick
contact.
around.
Bob ain't gonna like me.
Anybody else?
Does any of this change, does any of that change the fees, the price, the cost?
Nope.
And even when you make a in-person personal pickup, it's the same?
Same. So what we do currently is like a medical waiver. And if it's for the same situation, there's no fee. They just file the medical waiver and we go do curbside pickups or walk up to their driveway or whatever.
Thank you for improving the service.
That waiver is on our website.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else be heard? Any citizen be heard?
Oh,
Come on up.
Michael.
Name and address, or not address, just your name, Mike.
My name is Michael Bayala. I have several concerns. The first one is about the city employees, especially the one working on the inspection of the
Michael,
properties.
can I ask you a question? Is this about the trash?
No, we're done.
Okay, we're all moved on. Okay, just
No,
checking.
they have been picking my
Just checking to see
trash.
for backtracking. I was going to say, we already closed that.
Yeah, go ahead,
Okay,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
So you're saying, no, continue on.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, Michael.
No, Michael, go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead. I just wanted to make
Okay.
sure you weren't going to talk about trash because we closed it.
I've been dealing with this issue for almost 2 years. I've been very, very, very patient with that. First, I thought that it would be something that I can be able to deal with. In one of my properties, there is a water line belong to the city, on the city limit. And the water line came as a T on each one. When I have that property for almost 10 years, I never received any letter telling me that, the city changed the code on that, and that I become the owner. I got to pay for all the tenants who has been on that property. I was paying as a tenant before. So I came here to pay for the water. They told me that my water bill is about $800. I said, what's going on? And they told me that they changed the code, and then as a landlord, I got to pay for as a landlord. I said, in Iowa, nobody can do that without a warning, telling you a letter, sending you a letter to change it. It was no letter. They changed it, but it was not a big deal. I paid for it. So it came to a point, and they told me if I want to segregate it, I got to hire a contractor. So and then it will be on my own expenses. I said, okay, that's not a big deal. So I did not do it. When my building burned down, the city came with the inspector. They shut off the water for the 3 properties. I said, why do you guys shut the water for the 3 properties? They said, oh no, we cannot open this one because each one is not dependent. I said, no. Each one I've been paying by one person. If it has been paying by one person, you guys got to reopen it. So one of the inspector, who was very nice at that time, went back and then reopened it. So they told me, oh, you got to change it. I said, no, I cannot, because this is not on my property line. The line is of the water I use. So last month, the same issue reopened again. So I came to pay. The order came. I paid for the 2 properties because we never used the property who was burned. So for me, I don't have to pay for the water because the meter will come as a 0. So they came and they told me that I got to pay for that. I said, no. This is where we start having a problem. The lady told me, you got to pay for it. If you don't pay for it, we don't open the water, we don't give you the water. I went back and I paid. So for that, since that time, I have been having several other issues with the city inspection. One, there were pole or the light what was belong to the city. So the city came with a contractor fixing it. The next thing I get was a bill of $720. I took that bill, I came here, and then I asked them, I said, why did I have to pay for this bill? They said, oh no, is that, I said, the light pole does not belong to me. It belongs to the city. This is the city responsibility to fix that. and then you guys bring a contractor to fix it. You never send me any letter to fix anything. So why do you want me to pay? So at that time, I talked to the manager. The manager said, oh, no, oh, we can fix that. Or we can fix it. You don't need to worry about it. But the code was read wrong. I told them that you cannot read that code and ask me, how many people you scam that way? How many people you scam that way? So he told me, oh, it's not a problem. We're going to fix it for you. But when I went to pay for my property taxes, it showed up an extra $720.
They assessed you.
Yes, and I pay for it. Okay.
Is that a street light you're talking about, a big
Yes.
overhead street light?
Yes,
And
I
what
swear to you.
was it damaged in the fire?
Yes,
Is that what
yes.
caused the problem?
But, City Councilwoman, I got some people that have been doing wrong. The city have some inspectors who are very rude, and then I can name them. First, I have on my house, I tried to extend the porch. So I came here to ask them what was the dimension that I need to do. So they gave me. So I went down there, and then first when you ask them the question. I'm not an expert on construction. So I want them to be the one to explain to me what measurement I need. The guy was so rude. It was to a point where I got to back up, and then I have to send somebody else to ask him the same question. And then that person came, and that person is a Charlie Salmon who came and see them and say, hey, this is this, this is that. So when I came to a point, the reason why I bring that to you guys is this. In the city of Sioux City, I don't think that the inspectors got to be rude. One, that's unprofessional. And then it's not acceptable. It does not matter, is it Michael, is it anybody, it does not matter. If I cannot, if I don't understand something, somebody got to be there to explain that to me. That's why we vote for them. That's why we pay taxes. That's why we want them to be there for it. I told them that I'm going to bring it to the city council. And I'm bringing that. That's not finished. I have the same people. I have my cars that are parked in my house. They came, they sent me letters. First, it was the grass. They did not send me any letter to say, hey, your grass is too much. No. They went and cut it, and they want me to pay. I said, I'm not going to pay. They keep sending me letters. I said, I'm not going to pay. You're supposed to send me a letter. And then
Michael.
I called Des Moines. I called Des Moines. Des Moines said that previously they got to send you a letter. They did not do that. So I did not come for, I come for you guys to take that, to maybe educate them, because if we keep going on, I don't want to use the social media to use for this issue and then bring that. No, I have a big respect for the city council people. I have the big respect for the government of Sioux City. So please, 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 if they have a problem, they can fix it at home before to come here. This is a public service, and then they have to be there for the citizen of Sioux City. Thank you.
Okay, Michael,
Yeah.
Mike, you want to meet with him and try to figure some of the stuff out?
I'll follow up with inspections, but I'll let you know.
Okay, all right. Anyone else to be heard?
John Williams, 1613 West 17th. Bob, you're off the hook. I'm curious on the meridians on West 14th and Wesley Parkway. Whose idea was that?
The what?
the Meridians off of 14th Street and
Oh,
off of
median?
Omaha. They make you turn right.
Median things.
Where you have to turn right now.
Well, nobody ever turns.
Yeah.
You sit there and watch.
Yeah.
My problem is who's going to keep maintaining that? Because nothing large can go through there without either hitting the curb on the left or going over the curb on the right, which if I remember right, there's sprinklers there. City buses, city trucks, fire department. Come winter, your plows are going to take that centerpiece out because it's not wide enough for a plow to go through.
Where's this at?
At Fort?
It's right behind
the Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A there.
It's like
Hamilton.
behind, like where scooters, like behind there. You have.
Where you're going south?
It's got a pork
On-
chop there.
on-
A lot of-
No, either way, coming down
Either
the hill
way,
from
north or
14th.
south.
It's got a
Down
pork
the
chop.
hill.
Or coming up
Aldi.
Omaha Street.
You have to go right.
From
You
Omaha
can't cross
Street.
Floyd
You now
Boulevard.
have to turn right either way.
Oh, I see what you, oh, I see.
Well,
what you-
first of all,
You
people are
always did.
driving around it.
Yeah.
Because it's not out for enough, and there's no room to add on. Well, my thing is, it's not wide enough. Anything large going
pretty
through there, school bus,
I'm having a hard time.
city bus goes over the
Not by
curb,
14th. Are you,
Where
you're
is-
talking
Fort-
by the new Chick-fil-A, right? On Wesley
right behind
Park.
it.
Yeah, that was
Right behind it.
14th
Oh,
hill.
okay, I'm in the
It's
wrong
where the
place.
14th
Okay.
hill turns out behind, right where Chick-fil-A is.
Right, but they forced that because of traffic.
Like the rear of where scooters would be, that street right.
Over
where
by
that
Lawler Fixture.
Empties out
Yeah,
on the west
okay.
part.
Bronker Plaza.
Between Lawler's and Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Right, right.
You guys put in curbs. I'll call them curbs. I call them meridians.
And it's to clarify traffic flow, but you're saying it's not wide enough for.
It's not
plows
wide
to
enough. Your
drive.
city plow is
We
gonna
got a
take it
street
out.
expert right back here, Patrick. Might as well come up. Well, he's gone.
I don't vote for median, so you got the wrong guy, but anyway.
I don't know.
Well, no.
It's just the traffic flow.
Well, I was gonna say, and it was one of those, to my
you get your
knowledge, it was just about the traffic flow because of traffic, the anticipated traffic with Chick-fil-A, if I
Right,
remember right.
right.
And I think
Changed that? I haven't even known.
Yeah, they did.
I was gonna say, I didn't notice it either. I remembered the discussion of right in, right out, but I didn't know we installed.
Traffic study.
You go by
Yeah.
right now, the curbs
already
are all
did it.
They
black
had to
already.
have a traffic.
Have you
study.
seen this? Have
I
you
think
driven
they
out
did it
there
already.
yet?
I've just, Patrick Simons Field Services, yes, I just drove through there as well. It was one of those deals, I believe, through engineering department. That was again, like you say, to hinder traffic flow.
Yeah.
There was some holdup on 14th cutting across the Wesley corridor to Omaha Street.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they were
Which there
trying
is
to-
already.
Yeah.
So they were
Horrible.
trying to eliminate that safety concern with traffic flowing across 4 lanes of traffic. Again,
And I agree.
Did that come up in your meetings?
It came up here. We
They
voted
came up in
on
our
it too.
meetings that they call it a pork chop to
Correct.
divide the
But
traffic.
you talked about it at
Yeah,
that.
we did.
The problem is people still go straight, they still turn left.
Well, that's on them, though. They have to learn not to do that
Well-
and stop, sit there and
You actually
monitor
made it
them.
worse than it was.
Well,
Because people like to go straight, they like to turn left there. Now you're technically, you have to go clear
I
around the
know,
block.
I know.
to
But
get anywhere.
that was the decision that the traffic study and the engineering
Well-
made.
But like I say, there's not enough room there.
I was gonna say, Patrick, I guess my question is, look, I understand we're going to want to, especially once it opens, I think you're gonna see an increased traffic presence, and I think you're going to probably be able to, it's going to necessitate a right in, right out, and some of those things. My concern that you're bringing up is if it's wide enough for trucks or for anything, I mean, let alone your vehicles or semis trying to get in or out, because
I know.
if it's not, that's where it's going to,
I don't think
or
those
not
semis.
sorry,
yeah.
not a
Gas
semi,
healer.
or just any truck.
I
you know what
watched a
mean?
semi come through there. His rear wheels went way up over the curb.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
They're
So I
worse
think-
than
They
the
shouldn't
city
be
bus.
doing that.
that's not anything that we've had opportunity to experience yet. Obviously, they're fairly new to the system.
I'm gonna drive
so
through
once
there
they
on my
get
way home for you, okay?
Evaluated, we'll work
Take a
with
better look
engineering
at
if
it.
we need to adjust, but
I live over there.
assuming they can.
And maybe even
And
just,
I'll have Tom look at it tomorrow.
yeah, drive out there or see and.
Yep.
All
I'll
right.
drive out on my way home, because I guess I haven't paid attention, so.
I didn't
Like
know,
I say,
I didn't
the
know it
yellow
was
is already
It's
installed.
like if
blacked
you're
out.
coming from Heelan and you're going out
Yes.
that backside, Bob.
Okay, all right, I'll take a look tonight.
Okay.
No, 'cause I don't want to keep paying for that when the plows and everything destroy it.
Oh,
Yeah, all right, we'll just check it out, thank
Okay.
you. Anyone else?
Come on, Ben, you've been patient, bro. Like, what do you?
Here to watch?
Just wanted to see government in action today. Okay.
All right.
Taking a class.
Mr. O'Kane.
Yeah.
Mr. O'Kane.
Oh, hold on.
Sorry.
My name is John Searles. I live at 425 Buckwalter Drive. It's not a pertinent subject that I have, but I understand you want to develop downtown. But you do have businesses downtown that have been empty for 4 years that you do manage. I mean, Thorpe and Company Jewelers has been empty for 4 years now. There's boards on the windows. I mean, you want to bring business to Sioux City, well, what about the real estate you have downtown that is empty? I mean, what are you going to do about that? I mean, I bought 3 safes from Rusty Clark. That's how I remember that. I
Right.
bought those
But
4 years
Is that
ago.
about our only property that we do own that would be for rent? The first floor property at Thorpe? That's about our only one.
Would be
And
the whole
honest-
floor of Martin Hotel, wouldn't it? The whole first
No.
floor?
We don't own.
No, we
don't
don't
own
own
that.
the whole first floor.
No.
We don't own that. We own
Because I
the
know Lou
basement
owned
of
everything
it.
up above.
Correct.
Lou
And
owns part of
we
the
don't-
back, and we just own the Thorpe and the little building next door.
Yeah, we don't own much, and it's been under a lot of repairs, water problems, et cetera, so we haven't aggressively been trying to pursue it until we got it up to snuff.
And and this is another subject I'll cross over to. I work for Mid-American Energy. We did a big, Gordon Drive project in 2014. There's a lot of stuff buried down along Gordon Drive, because we had to cut a lot of main out down there to do that big Gordon Drive project, so
Yeah.
it's surprise, surprise.
Well, and I didn't know if, are you done? I'll
Go ahead, go
respond.
ahead.
Yeah, no. And what was your name, man?
John.
John.
Searles.
John, look, I understand what you're saying and I don't disagree, right? I mean, I sit on Downtown Partners. I believe a lot in the commerce of downtown. I think we're trying to grow it. We have more residents that are living down there. We've had new businesses relocating or opening downtown, which I think is encouraging, but we do still have empty spaces and that frustrates me.
And I think
I would say, I mean, we're working on a couple of them, but I think we need to aggressively go forward on some of these. They're mostly not ours, but I will say that, you know, we're doing different grant programs and things that are trying to spur like tenant improvement programs, and then there's also a rent relief program through Downtown Partners. There are different avenues we're trying to assist those properties with. But what I would tell you too is the big difference in my mind is if you're a new developer or a large scale developer or even say a bank wanting to open up a new headquarters in a more downtown location, you're looking for a larger site or you're looking for a space where you can have a little more creative control with it. And sometimes that's more appealing. So that's why I think this is a little more better investment for the city.
And what I'll say is, with regards to what Councilman Moore said earlier, especially in speaking about the property downtown that I think you're talking about, that's a big reason why we have that 120 days. And we are going to aggressively do an environmental study on it and hopefully find out what's under the ground. Make sure that this is a worthwhile investment and something that can add to our skyline or add to the future in Sioux City. We're not going to sign on to buy it if it's going to be a lot more work than it's worth, is what I would say.
Right.
I had something else, but I forgot, but
Well, you can come back next.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
I try to make it once in a while when I can.
Yeah, okay.
Thank
Well,
you for your
very much.
comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now Matthew.
Nothing this week.
Julie.
Nothing this week either. I think this was a full meeting. I think it was lots of really good discussion. I'm glad we had a full gallery, and I hope that folks who had questions got them answered, and we'll see everybody next week.
Alex.
I'm excited for Ben to start his candidacy for whatever he's doing, or maybe his probation officer is forcing him to be here. I'm not sure
Your
what
community
it is.
service.
Exactly. No.
Just, you miss Larry Twait and having to come to the council meeting to get that government credit? Is that the deal?
All right.
No,
I got a special
all I
tool
was
for
going
that.
to say was I just want to say I'm thoroughly impressed and appreciative of the Art Center staff and all of the volunteers and individuals that come together to make Art Splash possible. I'm anxious to hear their overall feelings about how it went, switching the weekends off of Labor Day weekend. I thought the weather, they were trying to do that so that it wouldn't be quite as hot, but it ended up seasonably hot.
Air conditioner worked this year, though. That was nice. It was nice and cool inside.
It's true. And so it is one of those things where I'm anxious to hear their overall assessment of the event. But when I went down there for a few hours, it was a lot of people were really happy and appreciative to be there. And I thought there were a lot of great exhibits. And I just think they do an extraordinarily great job from a volunteer standpoint, just taking care of the different vendors, running that operation, providing entertainment, very clean. And what I love is just the overall family atmosphere. It's not only about purchasing art, for those that maybe collect or are looking to buy a new piece, but there's a ton of things for kids, and I saw a lot of people having a lot of fun with that. And so, but then there were a number of different fundraisers going on throughout the community that I was able to be a part of. Quite a few of them. There's always a lot of need in the community, but overall, I thought in our facilities where we were hosting them, our teams were doing really a great job, and so I appreciate that work very much. That's all I have.
Okay. I want to thank the mayor for his leadership and with the path we're taking with the city manager's position, as well as with the assistant city manager position. And things are looking really good, really good. Mike, I appreciate working with you as a city manager, and you're very responsive, timely, and you're doing good work for us. So I want to thank you for that. But thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
I'm getting ready to get back into the Christmas decoration business in my front yard, and I have to meet the young man that's going to do all the work. I write the checks, he does the work.
I'm going to second that motion.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.
It's magazine on.
You know, the guy,